Today's a bittersweet day. It's our last day in Colorado. We are heading out to Wyoming to go to the Tetons to spend the next month there with friends and family. As I reflect on the last 2 months that we've spent here in Colorado, we have some amazing memories. Some of my favorites were Pagosa Springs, floating the cruise-a-thon, the mountain biking there, and just learning about RV life there. The temperature was beautiful, people were beautiful. That was fun. I really prefer the southwest of Colorado the most. It was fun to go to Mesa Verde. It was really fun to go mountain biking in Gunnison. Gunnison week was one of my top weeks ever. Being able to mountain bike right outside the Airstream. And another highlight was hanging out with Mike and Karen last Labor Day, riding with them, hanging out with friends. Silverton was fun when our friends came, but I'm not itching to go back to Silverton anytime soon. But Colorado's been really cool. Nice people, lots of outdoorsy people, but I prefer staying west of the Rockies because it just gets too crowded on the east, and they're very RV unfriendly in the suburbs of Denver. So we probably won't be going back there again with an RV, which is kind of a shame because it's a pretty area, cool city. We would have liked to explore more, but the whole time we were there, we were kind of feeling antsy, like, what if we don't find a spot to stay tomorrow? Colorado is awesome because they have over 50 mountains that are over 14,000 feet in elevation. They call them 14ers. And since all these 14ers are covered in snow, the snow has to melt and go somewhere. So almost every single town we've been in has had a river you can float or paddle. Case in point. Which has been awesome. There's lakes, there's rivers, there's awesome hiking when you're not in the cities. And I was just surprised how much water there is, how many rivers there are, and how floatable they are. So that is a big thumbs up and a big plus for Colorado.
Since we left and we've been here in Colorado, we have mountain biked way more than I thought we would. I was a little bit worried going into it because the elevation profile for trails in the Rockies can be pretty insane, but we've been able to find stuff that we could ride, and it's been super fun. It's also been really cool for me to see so many female riders since we've been here in Colorado. I've been really trying to work on getting my confidence back up, and that's just always awesome to see, you know, a trail group of like 5 women riding. It's been really awesome to see and super inspiring. Because we're getting our bikes in and out of the van so much, we get kind of sick of taking the front wheels off because it's almost daily. Sometimes we've even ridden twice in a day. So this is what ends up happening. Yeah, not a good long-term solution. Plus it makes all the other space in front pretty useless, but that tells you what a priority getting the bikes in and out quickly is to us.
Colorado's been great. We will come back to visit, especially Gunnison, Durango, and Pagosa Springs in the Mesa Verde area, but we're excited to move on to Wyoming.
I'm really glad that we didn't pick a really ambitious itinerary for these first few weeks on the road. I thought it just would have been crazy. Steve's been adjusting to a new job. I'm adjusting to, you know, doing the more we explore full time. We're both adjusting to living on the road and living in our Airstream. There's been a lot of work and a lot of figuring, and so it makes me really glad, even though the wandering spirit in me would have loved to have, you know, tackled like the entire East Coast or something like that all at once. I think we were smart to pick a state and explore that. And, you know, even having spent a couple months here, there still wasn't time to see everything. But I'm really happy with what we decided to do with this first summer on the road.
The first 2 months on the road have been a lot of work. There's a lot of learning how to book RV sites, and until you've done it, like, we get a lot of comments like, you sound like you have an itinerary, or you have to be at X place by a certain date. Why don't you just wing it and be free? You can't really wing it. You need to have reservations at places in summer. So that's one big takeaway that we've learned is you can wing it sometimes, but we've had to book certain sites 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in advance to make sure we actually had a site when we got to that area because the population was so dense. So if you just think you're just going to wander around and then roll into an RV park and find a place to stay, you're not. So you have to set dates and make plans a couple weeks ahead, which means you end up rushing through parts that you would have liked to stop and see a little bit longer.
Also, the fact that Steve works a regular 9-to-5 job that he needs to be connected to the internet for, that also affects our ability to completely fly by the seat of our pants, because we can't just camp anywhere. Like, we have to know that we're going to be able to be in a spot where he can get cell service.
Another surprising thing we've learned is how expensive it can be staying in a park. We have not found a park that's under $30 a night. In fact, we haven't found a park that's under $38 a night, even with no hookups. It's expensive. So you could easily spend $1,000 a month if you want to stay in downtown Littleton and be close to Denver. That's what you're going to have to pay, because the nearest boondocking spots are an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So you're going to have to budget for that. Another thing that's really been a bummer is not only do you pay 38 bucks a night to camp, there's usually like an extra $8 a day fee on top of that. Whether at a state park or a county park or something else, we've been running into a lot of that. So we thought, oh, we'll just go to places that don't have hookups and pay 15, 20 bucks a night. That has not been our experience in Colorado. So being able to boondock has been huge, but it also removes us from the cities where we don't get a lot of interaction with a lot of people. So it has its pros and cons, but it's been a lot more expensive than I thought it would have.
It does get crazy expensive if you want to stay in parks all the time. I know that there's a lot of memberships and things like that too that can help with the cost of your park fees, but like, it's so overwhelming, and maybe that's something that we need to delve into as time goes on, but man, it is a rabbit hole. Like,
the worst part about RVing full-time is finding a place to stay. If that were taken care of for us, and we could just show up somewhere and there was a spot for us, 90% of the stress would be gone. Wouldn't you think? Also, other people we've met on the road have agreed, and they say the first 2 months were the worst. They were super difficult, finding places to stay, figuring out your rig, just getting into a routine of things. And the pressure's starting to lift. It's starting to feel a little bit more normal. The honeymoon's kind of over. This is kind of our life. But the difference between the honeymoon and now is like 2%. It's not much different. We don't mean to complain. We just want to show you what it's really like, because some channels just show the good and it sounds like, oh, you're on vacation all the time. That'd be perfect. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than the other life. Well, this is the day Therese has been waiting for. Ever since we bought the Airstream, she has been begging to drive it, and I haven't let her until now.
See, what Steve won't tell you is really, like, I've been putting it off because I don't know if Steve can handle the responsibility of being co-captain. It's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a high-stress job, but I think he's ready for it. So we'll switch roles today. See how it goes. Oh, you want to drive instead, Fender?
She'll let you. Is there any cars coming?
Yeah, there's a semi.
Okay, wait till there aren't.
That's okay. I can get in front of this guy. I'll
just pull out right in front of him. Is there anyone behind him?
Dude, that dude doesn't stop for anyone. He's got like a big, huge cow. One of those cow.
Yeah, he probably can't stop for anyone. Get over. Step on it. So we got her on a one-lane highway with a crosswind. But we're in the middle of nowhere. Feels like Wyoming. We're still barely in Colorado. I figured it's a perfect place to learn.
I'm melting. Turn my air conditioning on.
Yes, ma'am. Isn't it crazy how something like that is stressful? Turning on the AC. Welcome to Wyoming, forever west. Walt Longmire on his horse. How you feeling?
All right.
Yeah, it's not too bad, huh?
I'm still not ready to drive this thing through San Francisco, though.
It is too hard being co-pilot.
You can't hack it.
We're gonna have to trade. I was pretty relaxed, and I usually throw out way too many instructions when I'm teaching something I'm passionate about. How'd I do?
You did great.
How stressful was that on a scale of 1 to 10?
Here, it wasn't bad. Like, it's not like a super tight, windy road or anything like that. So that was a good good place to get my feet wet.
Excellent. Last weekend on Labor Day with Mike and Karen, we got a good close-up look at their van again. And we really liked their setup, how the bed is over the bikes. And the wheels started turning, and the way to do that to this van would be to add like a 2-foot-high fiberglass top, which we may do. But the more time we spent with them, the more we started thinking, well, what if we had a van similar to the Sprinter? The Sprinters can't really tow very much. They max out at 5,000 pounds, so that's not an option for us. But Ford makes a similar van. It's very boxy, very tall with an extended roof. And if we got something like a Ford Transit, we could build a platform over the bikes and put the bikes in without having to take the wheel off. That really appeals because right now it's a little bit of a pain having to take the front wheel off the bikes and cram them in this little corner every time we want to store them. So that's an option. So if we see any Ford dealerships along the way today, we're going to go check one out, drive a Transit, see what it's like, and consider maybe one day getting one of those as our main vehicle. Plus we could stealth camp in it, and Teresa and I have been talking about maybe next summer, since summer's so crowded and it's hard to find places to put your RV, maybe we could put the Airstream in storage for 3 months and just live out of the van for the summer and be able to visit cities and get tucked into tiny little campsites and stuff like that without having to worry about hauling the Airstream and leaving it places. It's a thought. It's a thought that we're entertaining, but we don't know how serious we are about it until we test drive a few Transits. So we just took a Transit 350 mid-top wagon, which had all the seats in it, long wheelbase, for a spin. Sorry we didn't film it. That was super awkward with the dealer. It was awkward even not filming it. I don't know why, but that was rather awkward. So we didn't film it, but here's our thoughts. Go.
I loved driving it. I mean, obviously it's not lifted, so it doesn't feel as high up. We would put, you know, a few inches on it eventually if we got one. But I did like that. I liked how great the visibility was, the windows in the front. It drove more like a car, even though it's pretty big. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be the right tow vehicle, so that's going to give us something to think about.
I like the way it drove. I did not like the suspension. Fred feels way more solid, way more put together. The suspension felt like a Camry or a Corolla or a Honda Civic or something, which isn't bad in a car. But in a big van, it just kind of felt, it didn't feel right when you go over bumps and stuff. I'm not sold on it yet, and I question how well it'd be able to tow, but that EcoBoost is a sweet motor. Love the visibility. We could get away with a mid-top. There's no ground clearance on that. Like, the exhaust hangs down, like, there's probably 6 inches there, and it's a longer wheelbase than Fred. So our favorite campsite that we've ever been to in Gunnison, we couldn't have got there, even in the van not towing. It's just, it was too rutted out. We wouldn't have been able to do it. That's a huge sacrifice for me. So while it'd be great for city living, most of what we do is out of the cities with the bikes. There's tons of storage for the bikes, so we could definitely make that work.
Yeah, the way we could configure that in something like that would be really nice.
As you know, I also geek out on the details, and this guy knew nothing about these. I felt like I knew more about the models than he did. And I really wanted to ask him questions about tow ratings and features and options, but he really didn't know. So we're going to find a different dealer, and hopefully we can get some of that info and get some more drives and try some without windows and seats in it and see what a high top looks like and see what a short wheelbase looks like. I don't know, I have major concerns about towing with them, and I have major concerns about the height. There's just almost no ground clearance, and it feels like a car. And for $32,000 to $45,000, I want it to feel solid like a truck, not lightweight like a car.
Well,
Teresa wants it.
I mean, no, I agree with all the things you're saying and it feeling solid. I just like driving small cars, so that's obviously going to be one of the things I liked about it.
What's weird is it's bigger than this, but it drove smaller.
Yeah. Another thing, too, is being in a gasser again was like, oh, it's so quiet. We wouldn't have to shout at each other from across the van.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's the right rig for us, but...
More road noise, though. Lots of plastic. It felt kind of cheap, so... I don't know. I was expecting to be blown away. I wasn't blown away. I still think they're cool, but I'm not ready to sell Fred at the moment to get one. But maybe if we drive 5 more, I will be. Today's been a super ambitious day. Before the jack broke, we were aiming for 411 miles to cover, which may not sound like a lot, but in a van towing it is, and you usually go about 20% slower than normal. So right now we're in Rock Springs, Wyoming, headed toward the Tetons. We gotta find somewhere to camp between here and there and somewhere to go to church tomorrow. We found a place to camp in Pinedale, Wyoming. It's about 2 hours away. We should get there right after sunset, and yeah, found some great BLM land. That's what's great about Wyoming, Utah, Idaho, Arizona, parts of Colorado. Not so much Colorado, but the amount of BLM land. And Nevada, but who wants to go to Nevada? Sorry, Nevada friends. Show us what's amazing about Nevada, and we will join you and tell the world how great it is. Although we do like Great Basin National Park.
True, that is a cool place.
It's been a pretty windy day today, and I've been feeling it while I've been towing, especially when a semi passes me. A semi will pass me, it'll blow us all over, suck us over to the side like normal, and then even after it passes, the trailer will sway a bit left and right, left, right, left, right. I couldn't figure out what it was because our gray tank and black tank's half full, which is about 50 gallons, which is normal for what we tow with. And then it dawned on me, normally we tow with our freshwater completely full of 50 gallons so it doesn't slosh. But since our other tanks are half full, when we get past, it pulls the trailer to the side, and then all that water sloshes left, then sloshes right, then sloshes left. We really want to dump those tanks and never tow when our tanks are half full. We're going to try emptying those and see if that solves the problem.
Over there, you can see the Wind River's mountain range. A year ago, almost a year ago exactly, we were backpacking across that mountain range. It was a 90-mile trip. It was good times, good memories.
Well, we are getting low on fuel. And here's the first town. Let's hope they have a gas station. Well, that was the town of Eden, population 281. Gas stations, 0. Next town's about 10 or 15 miles. I think we're gonna make it. Question for all the mechanics out there, if you run out of diesel, do you have to like reprime the system or anything, or is it just like a gas car where you just put more diesel in, then it's good to go? I don't know the answer to that. I see a fuel station with a green dollar printout, which means they have diesel. Yes! $2.59, that's actually cheaper than we've been paying at other places. Oh, that is the sound of happiness on a road trip. So glad we found that diesel. Wyoming's got a cool state flag, I like that. Colorado was awesome, but we missed our sunsets, and I think we're gonna get some amazing sunsets here in Wyoming. Normally we get about 12 miles to the gallon towing, but we had a terrible headwind today. Let's see what we got. Ouch. Although 8.9 miles to the gallon isn't great for Fred, it's still better than what most motorhomes are getting. Well, this is the boondocking spot we found tonight. This is amazing.
Yep, we got moonlight on the lake. There's not many other people out here. I think we're probably a 10-minute walk from any other campers. Boondocking, and I can't wait to see it by daylight.
We struck it rich tonight. Doesn't always happen, but we did well tonight.